On a full moon night in the midst of the jungle, a red-haired injured kid holding his sword in his mouth like the comic character Zorro was fighting monster wolves to save a girl. The whole time he was thinking that why is he really protecting humans, as he is meant to do the opposite. He leaps and cuts their throats. With each second passing he was getting more and more hurt, but he doesn't stop. He wonders if God is punishing him for his deeds. He blames humans for his condition. He always thought that he is invincible, but the humans defeated him. His kind was almost wiped out entirely, and he was supposed to exact revenge on mankind, but he failed. Yes, he was a huge red dragon in his previous life. The humans killed him, but he gets reincarnated in the form of a human. When he was born, his father and mother were both very elated to have him, but he was clearly shocked and traumatized to see that now he is a human. He could do nothing but cry and curse humans in his mind when his father holds him for the first time. He spits on his face and gives a nasty grin afterwards. Then his mom names him Ray. He finds the name silly. About 4 years later he was still not used to his new body. He tries some complex moves but couldn't do it due to his weak human body. He could neither eat nor hold the sword like a human. Only his hair was turning more and more red with time. He wonders how can he ever get his revenge like this. Suddenly he encounters a girl. Ray gets on guard. She was a blonde girl of around Ray's age. She tells him that she didn't mean to scare him. She introduces herself as Amy and tells him that he should head down the mountain before it gets dark. Ray asks her why, and she replies that it's fine during the day, but demonic beasts might hunt the place after dark. She often picks up fruits and wild vegetables from there, so she was familiar with it. They both headed down the mountain together before Ray could tell her his name. Amy already recognizes him. She tells him that he's notorious in the village, but he was popular in the wrong way. Everyone hated him for his red hair. In this world, humans consider red the most ominous color as it represents the red dragon who ruled the world. The war between mankind and dragons has gone on for thousands of years. They were considered the epitome of evil. Ray asks Amy if she goes there every day, and Amy replies yes. Amy tells him that she has also seen him there often lately. Ray tells her that he practices there because he wants to be a swordsman. Ray's father was the only swordsman in the entire village, but suddenly Amy's brother Gary, along with his 2 sidekicks, blocks them. Gary lividly shouts at Ray to get away from his sister Amy. He tries to explain that he hasn't done anything to her, but they don't listen. His sidekicks tell Ray that he is cursed and will only bring misfortune if he stays in the village, so he should get away along with his parents. Ray couldn't resist anymore and punched Gary, but he successfully blocked it, and even after that, he flew away from its impact. Ray told him to get off his way, but Gary tried to mock him even more. Gary removes his sword, telling him that he doesn't want to take his pathetic life. Ray drops his sword as well and tells everyone to come at once. After all this tussle, while Ray was returning home, some people in the market were talking about the Night Academy's entrance, in which their kids would be participating. They spot Ray passing by. They are all not happy with the fact that he will take the test too. They were expecting the Avrian Night Academy to restrict him from taking the tests. When Ray reaches home, his mother was preparing dinner. She looks at him and asks if he got into a fight again. Ray tells her that he got the injuries while training. His mother knew that he is lying. He tells that he will be fine as he is a man. His father comes in and sarcastically mocks him a little. His mother blames his father for making him defeat the dumbest wooden trainer. His father replies that it's necessary for him if he wants to get into Avrian Night Academy. The couple keeps fighting about Ray's future. While Ray was silently eating his dinner, it was pretty common for him. Though his parents were both rare adventurers, he didn't inherit any of their talents. His mother was surprised that she was a mage. Even Ray was miffed to hear this, as he was the legendary dragon in his previous life. It was a shame for him. He thought that the old man was lying and got on his back and started pulling his beard. After that, his dad also once gifted him a sword on his birthday. He had his hopes high. He believed that even if he couldn't do magic, he could still be a swordsman and exact revenge on mankind. He still hated humans, excluding his parents. Of course, when he practiced with the training dummy for the first time, he thought it would be easy, but he got beaten up even in level 1. He felt like his body couldn't keep up with his movements, and he wonders if he can ever become a swordsman. Also, Gary has always bullied him. After the fight, Amy scolded Gary at home for treating Ray like that, but Gary warned her that if he came near her in the future, he would beat him again. Amy bonks him on the head and leaves, then Gary's eyes fall on his arm guard. It was dented from Ray's punch. He was shocked to see this. The next day, when Ray was going to the forest for training, he met Amy again. Amy apologizes to him for Gary's conduct, and Ray tells her that it wasn't her fault but rather that he wasn't good enough. Amy was still feeling sorry. Ray picks an apple from her basket and eats it to maintain social norms. Amy felt a little good while his parents were being assigned to a new mission. It was a dangerous mission. Ray's mom asks his dad if she can join, but his father tells her that someone needs to stay with Ray as his exam is coming. He assures her that he will be fine. On the other hand, Ray was still having a hard time getting used to his human body. His eyes fell on Amy for a second, and he was mesmerized by her beauty. He stopped himself from falling in love with her. With a blushing face, he told her that now they should head back. Amy realizes that it's already dark before they get ahead. Amy first goes and checks to see if Gary is there. She wants to make sure that Gary doesn't hurt Ray again. Ray feels a little embarrassed that a human girl is protecting him. He asks her why she isn't worried about what others will think of her. She tells Ray that she doesn't care about others' opinions and rumors. She also tells Ray not to be affected by it much and to do it his way. As soon as she says this, Ray realizes something. His face glows. He thanks Amy and immediately leaves for home. He goes back to his training room again to face the training dummy, but this time he holds his mouth instead of his hands and leaps to attack it. This time, his strike was a success. A voice comes out of the dummy, telling him that he has passed level 1. Ray was elated, but he decided to test himself further. Level 2 activates the next morning. Ray sees his father getting ready. He asks him where he is going so early. His father tells him about his new mission and promises him that he will be back before his exam. He also tells him to train hard until he defeats the wooden dummy. Ray wanted to tell him that he had already defeated it. But before that, his mother comes and asks Mr. Talon, or we can say Ray's father, if he is ready. Mr. Talon tells her to be careful and leaves. Ray stops himself from telling him about last night. He thought that it would be more fun when he will find out that he can do these things easily. He also wants to now thank Amy for her help, but this also worries him as he was becoming more and more like a human. He still hated everyone else except his parents and Amy. He goes to the jungle and sees that Amy wasn't around. He feels weird that he is so excited for her. He didn't want to feel emotions much after getting exhausted from training. He realizes that it's late already and he needs to reach home as soon as possible. He thinks of thanking Amy tomorrow. When he reaches the village, he sees lots of people gathered, and finding someone, he soon discovers that it was Gary and 3 other kids who had gone missing. A weapons shop owner tells Gary and Amy's parents that he heard the kids talking about going to the forest to hunt demonic beasts. They purchased some weapons from him. A lady becomes very angry at him for letting them go. Even after knowing this, Ray was actually glad that he wouldn't have to kill them. Then he also hears that Amy has also gone missing. At first, he thought not to do anything about it, but soon he started to feel really bad for Amy. She was innocent, so he rushes into the forest to save her. Meanwhile, the demon beast had already surrounded Gary and Amy. Gary was trying his best to protect Amy with his sword. He was really scared, but he still managed to kill a few of them. Ray smells some blood and rushes straight towards it. He finds a slashed adolescent demon wolf. He was still having a hard time finding a direction, but then he heard someone screaming. He goes there and sees Gary getting knocked out by a big demonic beast. The beast then leaps to attack Amy. Amy closes her eyes in fear. When she opens them, she sees Ray stopping the beast. He asks Amy if she is all right. Amy tells him that she is not hurt, but Gary and his friends are seriously injured. As Ray was distracted, the demon attacked him, making him bleed. He got up quickly and tried to lure the demon away from Amy, but he failed. Even in doing that, his human body wasn't strong enough to fight a demon wolf at all. He couldn't get away. His only option was to stay there and protect Amy. In the past, demon wolves weren't a big deal for him, but now the tables have turned. Ray was badly injured. Holding his sword in his mouth, he warns the demon to back off. It leaps at him, but Ray knows their weak spot, which is the eye. He tries to strike it with his claws and manages to destroy one eye. If it was in the past, then only a single swipe would be enough for him to sink his claws into its brain. The battle continues. Eventually, he finds a flaw in its defense and strikes its leg with his sword. The light gets slashed like a cake before falling to the ground. The demon sweeps its hand, and it hits Ray this time. Ray gets really angry and jumps and cuts its throat. Amy and Gary were both safe but unconscious. He was also going to faint, but then suddenly a yellow light appeared and formed a projection, indicating that he had obtained a new skill. Rather than thinking about that, Ray prioritizes saving Gary and Amy because they were bleeding and the blood might attract more demon beasts. He gets up and carries both of them. Gary sees him but doesn't say anything. Ray sees that there were two more kids lying unconscious, but he couldn't do something. He reluctantly leaves their survival to fate. Soon all the villagers reached the forest. They were searching everywhere but couldn't find anything. Then they see Ray bringing Amy and Gary. The people there starts guessing things. A woman rushes in there and asks where her children Bob and Kyle. She panics to hear that Ray only brought back Gary and Amy. She rushes into the forest to save them, but freezes halfway from the fear of demonic beasts and returns. Now she grabs Ray by the collar and blames him for luring them into the forest. She starts slapping him real hard. Now the other people also doubts that he might be the one behind all of this. Ray tells them that they are in the forest, but that makes them even angrier. The lady blames him for leaving two small kids in the forest alone. She now grabs a flaming torch and advances towards Ray. The humans were looking scarier than the demonic beasts to him. Now they were the real monsters. The lady tries to hit Ray with the torch. Ray was pitying himself for dying again, and with a wooden stick, he closed his eyes with a smile on his face. Nothing happens. He opens his eyes and sees Gary blocking the hit and stopping the lady. People are now starting to speculate that Ray has bewitched Gary. With a scary face, Gary dares them to even touch his savior. Then after this, the scene shifts, and Ray's eyes open in his bed and he sees his mother in front of him, and then Ray thinks, how are human hearts just as beautiful as they are cruel? Then his mother wakes up, and she is very happy to see Ray, and she tells Ray what happened that night when Ray fainted. Gary then explained to the people that Ray saved my life, and at that time his mom reached. Seeing Ray like this, his mother was very angry, and everyone was blaming Ray, but seeing his mother's anger, everyone got scared, and then she came home with Ray. Then she goes to cook. And Ray is now alone, and a window opens in front of him, and he has a skill called Dragon Eyes. With the help of this skill, Ray can see the power of any human, and Ray remembers, back when I was still a giant red dragon, I knew countless spells. I thought I'd never be able to use it again after failing the Magic Academy's entrance exam, but it's returned. Though it seems that I'll have to learn my skills one by one, and also, Ray gets the demonic core, and then Ray feels something, and when he looks outside the window, the villagers have come to burn down Ray's house, and Ray's mother tells Ray to escape from here. She asks for him and saves him, and Ray sees with his power who is the creator of this problem, and Ray comes to know that it is Bob's mother. Now Ray's house is burning, but his mother extinguishes the fire with magic and tells Ray to go home now. Ray is very angry that some people want to kill him, but Ray has now thought that he has to take revenge and do some. After a day, Ray's injury is recovered, and then he goes towards the jungle, where, with the help of his dragon eyes, he finds all the beasts, and then Ray starts killing all those beasts one by one. And Ray kills a lot of beasts and gets a crystal that he can absorb, and then he sees a wolf cub whose mother was killed by Ray, and then Ray goes to him and he gets a notification that he can tame the wolf cub, and then Ray tames that wolf cub, and then it goes into his body, and Ray's second skill opens, which is beast taming, and Ray uses his power. After reaching there, Ray finds that the beast has eaten both boys, and only their bones are left. Then Ray takes their clothes and blood with him and leaves from there. After that, he comes back home and starts to rest. Then Ray wakes up at night and goes out of the house with the clothes and blood of those two boys. He goes to Bob's mom, and when Bob's mom feels that her son has come, she comes out and sees that her son's clothes are lying there, then she follows the footprints. While doing this, he reaches the forest where Ray is waiting for Bob's mother, and then Ray drops blood on Bob's mother, so that Bob's mother is very scared, and Ray comes in front of her, and just after seeing this, Bob's mother gets very scared, and all the beasts that are there kill Bob's mother. If you like this video, and want to see next part, so please subscribe my channel, I will upload next part very soon.